The J.B. Pritzker Presidential Press Tour continues, and introducing Furgate, brought to you by Alderman Raymond Lopez. It is Friday, March 14th, and this is the Ben Joravsky Show's Oh, What a Week!
The enemy is you.
All right, easy, Pritzker. COVID's over.
When did he say that? Was it during COVID?
Yeah.
I forget.
If you're not wearing a mask in public, the enemy is you.
Got it. Okay.
All right, everybody, let's find out what happened in Chicago and or Illinois. We begin in Chicago because, my God, this former mayor of ours won't stay out of the news.
Take a chill pill, man.
And Ben, I'm not sure if you believe in this sort of thing, but we may have spoken the following from Politico and Jonathan Martin into existence. Manifested it, if you will. Because according to Jonathan Martin, former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel wants to run. Around the block? No. Run to the grocery store real quick? Yeah, right. Run around Lake Michigan? No, he does that on his bike. Rather, Rahm Emanuel, my God, could very likely want to run for president of a book club? No, guys, president of the United States of America.
That's correct.
All right, let's read what not Shia Kapos from Politico had to say here. And before we start, it must be noted that nowhere in this article, very long article, does it have a quote from Rahm Emanuel saying directly, I, Rahm Emanuel, am running for president, okay? So there is a good chance that we're reading Jonathan Martin's fiction fantasy here, maybe his inner thoughts and hopes and wishes. What I'm saying is the guy could be a Rahm lover, all right? But I've wasted enough time. Here we go. Here's the piece from Politico. Since coming home in January from his stint in Tokyo, Emanuel has been as visible as any other Democrat. Name the political podcast, and Emanuel likely he's been on it or will be shortly. He immediately snagged a CNN contract and regular Washington Post column. He's also hitting the lecture circuit. The biggest Rahm may run tell, though, is that he's already road testing the first outlines of a stump speech, or at least an issue he can make his own. He's talking about that audio we played from last week's show when Rahm Emanuel was on Real Time with Bill Maher. Okay, people. Let's hear the audio real quick before we go any further. For those who may not have listened last week, by the way, you should go check that out. Go download last week's Ben Joravsky Show at wherever you download podcasts.
There is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances. Focus on those three things and your city's going to be fine. We've gone through 5 years where people became way too permissive of the culture. They were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS. And that is a disaster. Yeah. And our school, and I'll say this about our schools. I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom. I agree. We had the worst reading scores for 8th graders in 30 years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in 7th grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and got in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it.
We literally are a superpower. Some people say, Ben, you're giving too much, spending too much attention on Rahm Emanuel. Well, he's a pretty powerful force in American politics. And the setup that you gave was really important because part of the reason he's such a powerful force in American politics is that he has the ears of many influential, important journalists who write up tough pieces like this thing that ran in Politico, which was, what did you call it? Fiction fantasy. This guy's fantasy of a Rahm Emanuel candidacy. And yes, which he does not quote Rahm, saying, oh, yeah, I actually want to run for president. It's just promoting Rahm. So these people allow themselves to be used as Rahm's, cheerleaders. I've seen it with so many different columnists. I'm not quite sure what it is that he has that so bewitches these political writers, They just fall in love with the myth of Rahm. And he makes these pronouncements. He's very Trump-like. Trump goes day to day. Trump will say one thing on Tuesday and completely contradicts it on Wednesday. Rahm will say things. It usually takes Rahm 6 months. So just so you know, Rahm was a promoter of trans bathroom rights when he was the mayor of the city of Chicago. I guess he thought it was in his best interest to promote that. Joanna Klosky was talking about that on the show, and she was the one who pointed that out to me. And now all of a sudden he's against trans rights. and separate bathrooms because I don't know. He figures that'll get him. What will it get him? The swing vote, the mythical swing vote in suburban Milwaukee. That's what I guess he thinks. So he's going to throw trans under the bus. I cannot say this enough. Rahm Emanuel should not be allowed to talk about education, talk about public schools without being asked about the 50 schools he closed and the way he closed them. You talk about cowardly actions. Rahm was skiing in Utah when he had Barbara Byrd Bennett announce that he was closing the 50 schools. He wasn't even here to face the fire. He had Barbara Byrd Bennett, the CPS, the one who went to prison on corruption charges. Rahm Emanuel's handpicked school CEO in the city of Chicago, somehow or other, she was looking to get the back end of a principal contract, consulting contract. Remember that, people in the city of Chicago? So why Rahm would get to talk about public education with any credibility, I do not know, except to say this, that people like Bill Maher aren't paying attention to the city of Chicago, nor does he care about the city of Chicago. Well, nor does he certainly doesn't care about the public schools of Chicago. And I'm sure Jonathan Martin doesn't know anything about the Chicago public schools.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're not convinced yet. Let's hear out Jonathan Martin. He's got more. All right. Just hear him out. Maybe he can, just hear him out.
Okay.
Jonathan Martin, Rahm lover, writes, presidential races are about timing. And if there ever was a period where Emanuel would be viable, it's now. Democrats are demoralized as any time in modern history. Their voters desperately want to win, and we're open to untraditional candidates even before Trump. See Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg. And the new attention economy favors the pithy. Oh, and they're also dying for somebody who can wield a blade and take it to Republicans. He's so full of ideas, angles. Okay, we're done. You get it. He's a Rahm lover, but go ahead.
What a freaking puff piece. Dude, and they're open to an unconventional candidate. He's the most conventional candidate. He comes from the heart of the Democratic machine. He worked for Billy Clinton. He worked for Barack Obama. He worked for Richie Daley. This is Mr. Conventional candidate.
No, but if he were younger and he could go into the girls' bathroom, he would. That's what makes him different.
Yeah,
come on.
No, you see, that's what makes him different. He makes weird, pervy jokes that are embarrassing to listen to and make him look horrible. You're right. That makes him different. And take it to Republicans. This man has never fought a Republican. He always sucks up to Republicans. My God, he went on the Bill Maher show and just ripped Democrats. Remember? It was about, we worry too much about bathrooms. I have not heard Rahm Emanuel rip Donald Trump in any real way. We're going to get to President Pritzker, who's ripping Donald Trump left and right and is more in tune with where the Democrats are. And I like to point out to guys like Jonathan Martin, so funny, I have to explain this to the guy who writes for Politico, but in order to become a candidate for president on the Democratic ticket, he has to win the Democratic nomination. I don't know. I don't think you could find 10 out of 100 Democrats who would vote for Rahm in a Democratic primary. Hello, you got to get lefties to vote for him, and they hate him. So, I don't know. The notion that Rahm Emanuel takes it to Republicans is fantasy. The notion that Rahm Emanuel is an unconventional candidate is fantasy. And the notion that Rahm speaks for a demoralized Democratic Party is fantasy. Most of the people in the party who are demoralized because it's people like Rahm who've driven the party into the ground. Oh, I'm demoralized because Chuck Schumer is about to sell us out in the Senate. I know what I'll do. I'll vote for another guy who would sell us out in the Senate. I swear, sometimes I wonder about. I love my fellow political journalists, but sometimes, dudes, what do you get in exchange for writing such drivel? How did you get? Rahm calls you back. Is that what it's worth? I know that's something. It must be worth something to get Rahm to call you back. Hi, how you doing? I'm busy. I'm very busy. But to write such utter drivel. Gee, I don't know. What can I say? I used to make fun of the Chicago press corps because they were lapdogs for Rahm and Daley. I think this piece has got him beat.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see what our former mayor decides to do. But whatever decision Rahm makes, we can assure you that the announcement will be awkward and very, very condescending.
Take a chill pill, man.
Oh, God. Yeah, it will be awkward and maybe pervy, like that weird joke about the washroom.
Now, I will say, I think there is a play for the middle in the upcoming election. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's this guy. I don't think it's this guy.
No, it's not this guy. Okay. I have to share this with you, D. A dear friend of ours, Michael, sent this to me. And I read this on another recording, but I want to read it again since we're talking about Mayor Rahm. And I believe on the last week's show, I believe it was Dr. D who called Rahm a douchebag. I think it was you, D. And in response, I got this text from Michael. Shout out, Michael. And here it is. I'll read it again. My wife's friend recently met Rahm Emanuel, and she accidentally offended him, and he was an asshole. Her husband told me the story yesterday. He spotted Rahm and went up to him and said hi. He told him that they had met back when he was working for a company here in Chicago, which prompted Rahm to give some canned comment about how great that company was. And then his wife leans in and asks him, quote, "So where do you live now?" And Rahm looks at her and says, quote, "I'm the fucking ambassador to Japan," and turns around and storms off. What a douchebag, ladies and gentlemen. D, we're right last week. Total.
Thank you for that confirmation.
Ladies making small talk with him at a party or something. I am the ambassador to Japan. No, the fucking ambassador to Japan. That's how you win over the voters, Rahm.
Yeah. Thank you for that confirmation, Michael. My goodness.
Yeah.
Rahm, we're going to have to wait when he does. But Mayor Rahm, we may have some bad news here. You may not be the only Democratic bigwig looking to take a swing at POTUS. No, sir. Turns out there's another guy rumored to be running. It's our billionaire Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker.
You are a billionaire, are you not?
I
Oh, he is. Hey, let's get into the week that was for our very rich Illinois governor. And the J.B. Pritzker, I'm not running for president, but of course I'm running for president tour continues. Now, yes, J.B. is still our Illinois governor, but you can do two things at once. And this week, Pritzker gave us a masterclass on how to do it. First up, our governor, more than likely, took a private jet to Austin, Texas, and joined a panel discussion at the annual South by Southwest event. Ben, you've been there several times, right?
Many times.
What is your experience like?
Well, I usually hang out with Wilco, your favorite band.
Oh, nice.
And I've now exhausted my knowledge of bands who would play at that thing. Pretty much the only alternative band I've ever heard of is Wilco. So I'm a huge Wilco fan, D. Love Wilco. And that's who I hang out with when I'm in Austin. We hang out.
Incredible. Well, since we have no news featuring Fox 32's Parachutes this week, we're not flying to Paris. So what do you say we take the governor's private jet to Austin, Texas, Ben, huh? Let's go to Austin, Texas. Ben, hold on to my chicken. We're going. Hey, my chicken. We're in Austin, Texas.
What's the chicken doing on the plane?
So the governor eventually got up from his seat at some random barbecue restaurant in Texas and headed over to the South by Southwest event. Probably licked his fingers and went on over. He talked tax breaks for multi-billion-dollar quantum computing companies and discussed quantum incentives. I know I'm going to do everyone a favor here and skip over most of this discussion. I'm sure we'd all like to go into our weekend not feeling like a complete idiot. Very smart talk here that these people were talking about. But Pritzker was asked about his favorite person to talk about these days. That's right, our 45th and 47th president, one Donald J. Trump.
Well, first of all, like most people in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois, I would not be able to identify what the governor means when he says quantum. So let's just get out there. If you ask me right now, how would you define quantum D? I would not be able to do it.
Yeah,
So
I would talk about that show from the 80s, Quantum Leap.
Yeah, I might talk about that show too. Now, that doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean that that I should be proud of not being able to identify it. It's just it's a reality. Sometimes politicians speak in jargon that nobody understands. I had a whole conversation with this about with David Ferris. Secondly, I'm not certain if it was such a great investment for the city of Chicago, whatever they're doing on the far south side and what used to be the steel yards in near the 10th Ward on the southeast side of Chicago on the lakefront, because it's not really going to put a whole lot of people to work. So all this investments in the new economy, all this investment in AI, essentially are putting people out of work. So I don't know, like just the concept that they would be going down to this rock festival convention in Austin and bragging about how they're helping develop industries that are putting people out of work. I don't think that connects with anyone, D. You follow what I'm saying? It's all kind of like part of this larger, greater contradiction in our world where we seem to be obsessing over investing in industries that are taking jobs away from Americans as opposed to building new jobs or creating new jobs. Unless we're just going to put everybody on like a payroll, just give everybody guaranteed income. We're going to invest in new technology that eliminates jobs and eliminates manufacturing, eliminates like the working class in this country, then just give people the checks. If you got to live, people are still here. This is an essential contradiction at the heart of all this, bragging about how we're developing sophisticated forms of robotic technology that put people out of work. So I'm not a particular cheerleader for any of this stuff. I know that when the steel mills were there were tens of thousands of people who worked there, and they filled out the neighborhoods around those steel mills. And now what they're talking about is a company, I think it's in the hundreds at best, of people who will work there. So I'm not quite sure why anybody's bragging about this. All right. I understand that everybody is bragging about this, and it brings to mind the great debate about Amazon. Remember that one, D?
Oh, yeah.
That may have been why why I was fired. One of the many reasons, because the state of Illinois, at that time run by Rauner, and the city of Chicago, at that time run by Rahm, were joining forces to put together a proposal to try to get Amazon to build its campus in Chicago. We were competing with pretty much every city and state in this great country for that right to pay millions and millions of dollars to Amazon. To me, it was a scam from start to finish, and yet I don't believe there was any politician that I could think of, any elected official, I should say, D, including candidate Pritzker. Remember, he came into the studio and we debated it a little bit, who was against that handout. And so I just get the feeling that so many of these initiatives are freaking scams, and they don't benefit a large number of people in this country. We end up subsidizing gazillionaires. And the Democratic Party allowed itself to be affiliated and associated with those deals, D. And that's part of the reason, I hate to say it, like when Donald Trump gets up and bashes the Democratic Party and talks about how they sold out the working class, like there is some truth there. I mean, don't get me wrong, Trump's doing the same thing, but there is some truth there. And so it's really, whenever I hear Democrats go to conventions like the one in Austin with the rock concert convention and promote technology that puts people out of work, I do not understand. I do not understand why they think this is advancing the Democratic Party's cause.
All right, so I think we learned a little something, though, about JB here. He was asked a question about Donald Trump, kept his poise, professionally answered it, didn't just like go on a crazy rant or anything like that. So he's able to stay professional, stayed calm, stayed collected, and answer the question. Very good job. Now, the governor also showed us that he still has it when it comes to the art of the duck and dodge. The governor was asked about immigration hiring practices. He still got it.
Wow, there is so much bias embedded in the question and the response. And you're right. Governor Pritzker shows his great ability to duck and dodge and slip and slide and do the hokey pokey. We would tease him for years about his nickname, Sugar Ray Pritzker or JB Travolta. And because he is so quick on his feet. And this is a very contentious issue. It's particularly contentious in the Republican Party. And it's contentious largely because MAGA has generated this phony, fraudulent crusade against immigrants. We desperately need more people in our country. We need more people in the city of Chicago. We need more people in the state of Illinois. If Donald Trump were to follow through on his threats, which he has made throughout the campaign and into his first week or so in office, that he was going to deport millions and millions of people, our factories would be emptied, our warehouses would be emptied, our food processing plants would be emptied, the farmer in South Dakota would not have people to work on his farm, et cetera, and so forth. It would shut down his economy. Everybody who's in business knows this. They're so afraid and intimidated by Donald Trump that they don't want to say it. They don't want to speak the truth. So we're pretending as though there's a crisis that exists when there is no crisis that exists. And JB Pritzker is sort of trying to avoid this topic. Now, the embedded bias in the question asked by whoever that interrogator is that somehow or other there's good immigrants and bad immigrants. And the good immigrants are educated immigrants that can work in the tech industry and fill these tech jobs, as opposed to what? Bad immigrants who work in factories and warehouses. And it's sort of the bias in the question is that it's okay to throw up a wall to keep out the uneducated immigrants, but we want to bring in educated immigrants. So that right there shows that whoever asked the question has swallowed this bias. It's very much a play in Republican politics, as I said before, because Elon Musk is at war with Steve Bannon on this issue, where Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy want to bring in more educated, college-degreed immigrants, make it easier for people like that to get into this country while throwing up the wall against people who would work in a factory or a warehouse. Musk wants to bring in more. Bannon says, no, don't bring in any. And my attitude is like, why can't we train Americans for these jobs? We talked earlier about the phoniness of Rahm talking about the schools. Why aren't our schools training people to take these jobs? If we say there is a need for educated folks who know how to work computers or do computer work or create AI systems or whatever they do in these facilities, there's actually some jobs that need to be filled. Why can't we train people to take those jobs? Why does it seem like our schools are not in any way preparing people for this future, American citizens for this future? And I think the answer is that most people, like Elon Musk or like Vivek Ramaswamy or like Donald Trump, don't want to spend their money on schools that educate just ordinary, normal, or poor, working class, whatever you want to call people, children who like live in Chicago and go to the Chicago public schools. And so JB Pritzker understands all the bias and all the pratfalls, in this embedded in this question. He doesn't want to deal with them head on, so he kind of just pivots.
Gave him a little compliment, like, all right, went to your facilities. It was great. I love what you guys do. Buttered him up a little bit, kept going. Still got it.
Yeah, he still got it. He's got he can pivot. He can pivot. He can change the subject. That's one of his best things. So he took the opportunity to sort of go down one path and talk about how great it is that we have immigrants come to this country who are very good at computer technology, et cetera, and so forth. And he avoided the central question, which is our country has stopped investing in the people who live in this country. And instead, they're going to close down public schools and they're going to try to encourage people to move to America from all over the world, which is if they have a college degree. So it's a little bit of madness here, at play in American politics.
I'm not afraid.
Oh, he's not afraid.
By the way, way, who's asking the questions? Does it say?
I don't know.
Anywhere?
Some
No.
smart guy who's talking about quantum, and
Yeah.
he's never going to be on this show. He's
No, he won't.
too uneducated for that, man. All right. Up next and back in Illinois, Ben, let's go. Jump in Pritzker's jet. Come on. Whoa. Back in Illinois. Looks like the governor gave a couple of stump speeches this week. First off, he delivered remarks at Illinois Future of Fuels, Sustainable Aviation, Fuel, and Beyond conference. Was it boring? Well, you tell me. Soybean talk. Oh, my God.
You know what? I love it when JB talks soybeans. You know what I'm saying, D? No one talks soybeans quite like JB Pritzker.
Well, you know what? You're right. Maybe I should give him a chance. Let's listen to a little more here. Okay, my God, we're done. Oh, good Lord.
You know what? I'm going to just throw this out here. If JB decides he doesn't want to feature in politics, and if he doesn't want to run for president, I think based on that audition tape there, he could replace Travis Ford as Illinois chief.
Trent Ford, my bad. Trent Ford is Illinois' chief meteorologist, okay? I think he shows a lot of potential for that one. My bad, Trent Ford. By the way, that guy, Dennis was the one who discovered Trent Ford, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. D discovered Trent Ford. He's all over the place, Trent Ford. Is he really?
Yeah, I've seen him quoted.
Oh, my God.
That's Dr. D's invention.
Well, I can make everyone else popular.
Yeah.
Somehow not me. JB then headlined a gathering of 1,200 delegates with the Illinois Education Association. That guy was hyped. Now, with this interview, okay, Ben, now, did you see any video of this with the Illinois Education Association? Have you seen any of this stump speech?
I read about it, but I didn't see it.
All right, now this is where you see the governor work out some of his presidential campaign talk. Let's hear some of the audio here.
Speaks for me on this one. And this is a contrast to Rahm. When you think about the two Illinois Democrats who've been, well, Pritzker is openly running for president. Okay, Rahm's allowing Jonathan Martin and other flunky reporters to do his bidding. But just the approach they take, you will not hear Rahm Emanuel at this stage. He's very capable of changing from day to day. Attack Donald Trump and what Trump has done like that. Rahm stays away from that. His notion is, though, that there's one language to speak that will woo over undecided voters. And he's going to appeal to them, and it will be not bipartisan in nature. It will not be attacking Republicans in nature. It'll be talking about what we all have in common. Looking the other way from the fact that Democratic Party is under siege to a large degree by a very partisan attack from MAGA that's been going on for about 10 years and it's been very successful at making the Democratic Party a marginal party in our country right now. So when JB Pritzker goes on the attack like that, he's speaking to rank and file Democrats who will vote in Democratic primary and who will decide who the next Democratic nominee will be. And it's a very effective, particularly now when there is so much anger on the part of rank and file Democrats at Chuck Schumer and Democratic leaders in Congress who they don't believe are standing up to Trump nearly as much as they should. So Pritzker is speaking to them. When he went on The View, he was speaking to them. He is actively seeking the Democratic nomination to be president of the United States. And I'll repeat this. You cannot be president of the United States as a Democrat until you get the nomination. So that is very effective talk for winning the nomination. More red meat to the Democratic base. I'm fired up hearing him say that. By the way, D, Linda McMahon, who Donald Trump appointed to be the Secretary of Education, who is essentially dismantling that department as we speak by firing employees, thus reducing whatever impact the feds have on public education in this country. Even if it's just to like figure out what's working and what isn't working in terms of educating students, Donald Trump is dismantling that. He promised, he said he was going to do it, and he's following through on doing it. And he nominated Linda McMahon to essentially send out the firing letters. Linda McMahon and her husband were the presidents, I think, of the World Wrestling Federation. I know you're a big fan of World Wrestling Federation spectacles.
Oh, yes.
And you know more about it, way more about it than I do. Okay.
Oh, yes.
But let's see if you could handle this World Wrestling Federation trivia question for 10 trivia points.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Who is the chief owner of the World Wrestling Federation as I speak?
The chief owner of the World Wrestling Federation right now?
Yes.
Well, there's a few, but I think the answer that you're looking for is the brother of Rahm Emanuel, one Ari Emanuel.
Wow. I got to give you credit. I did not think you were able to do that one. Yes. Yeah. So there's one Trump appointee you're never going to hear Rahm Emanuel attack. That would be Linda McMahon. You're correct, Dr. D. Very well. You know what? I got to give you credit. I didn't think you would get that. Ari Emanuel, who started out as an agent and has now become a big-time operator, to put it mildly, in California, in Los Angeles, in the entertainment industry, owns Endeavor, which owns the World Wrestling Federation. I believe they also own the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Dana White effectively works for Rahm Emanuel's brother. And these are essentially Trump-supported institutions in terms of their hierarchy of leadership. And Trump is pretty welcome at any UFC match, Steve. I don't know if you ever seen the footage.
They love him. They love him.
Yeah, they love Donnie. And he was very popular in the World Wrestling Federation. In fact, it was Dennis who introduced me to the spectacle, this was years ago, of Donald Trump shaving the head remember
Vince
that one?
Vince McMahon, yeah. Donald Trump was the good
Linda
guy.
McMahon's husband. So these entities are very close to Donald Trump. They're owned by Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel is Rahm Emanuel's brother. So it's such a farce to think that Rahm is going to speak out against Linda McMahon and what she's doing at the Department of Education, just from that relationship alone. In fact, I'll go one step further. Ari Emanuel is a big-time operator, and he is Elon Musk's ally in Elon Musk's attempt to sort of take control of the AI research operation here in the United States. So far, they're unsuccessful in that endeavor, but I've been following it from afar in the business pages. Ari Emanuel is a supporter again of Elon Musk. So you're not going to see Rahm. I don't think I've ever heard Rahm bash Elon Musk. In fact, if you recall, Rahm invited Elon Musk to the city of Chicago to build, remember this? The bullet train to O'Hare.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that fiasco, which ended up costing us all kinds of money, even though we never got the bullet train because we built the station before we built the bullet train. What a city, ladies and gentlemen. So this underscore. By the way, was any of this mentioned in the Jonathan Martin Huff piece?
No.
Politico? No. The inherent contradictions of Rahm running for the Democratic nomination with his brother's partners or pals with Musk and the McMahons. You know, it's like Rahm's not even asked to comment on that. So J.B. Pritzker is unafraid, obviously, to bash Linda McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation because he's not business partners with them, and I don't believe any of his brothers are business partners with him.
And he was talking about experience. JB, I'm pretty sure you were just some hotel owner, dude, before you came governor. But I hear what you're saying.
I don't even think he was really a hotel owner. He was the son of a family.
So he just hung out.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure that JB has ever like run a hotel. Like, I'm in charge today of making sure the maid service is, you know what I'm saying? The practical implications. Running a hotel. Don't think JB's ever done that.
Just saying he didn't come in with a bunch of experience as governor. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, but at least he wasn't allies with the people that the Democratic Party hates the most in the state of Illinois. He wasn't wine drinking pals with Bruce Rauner. Wait, D, for 10 trivia points, who was a wine drinking pal of Bruce Rauner? I can't remember at this moment.
Yeah, you can. It's Rahm Emanuel.
There you go. Well done.
All right. Well, a little more in this speech here. Here's where he's working some of his open mic material. Catch him at Zanies, everybody. J.B. Pritzker. Here we go. Call them Doge bags.
I don't know who wrote that one, but the Doge bag is pretty funny. I may have to use it, JB. I will give you credit if I use it. So just to keep you all up to date on everything, JB calls Elon Musk and his crowd Doge bags, and Dr. D called Daniel a douchebag. So there we go. We covered.
Thank goodness, Girardi, you confirmed that, by the way.
Oh man, Girardi was right on top with that one. And that was such a vintage thing. So many people down through the years have told me about what a jerk Rahm Emanuel can be, the arrogance of that guy. But he was just trying to be nice, Rahm. Okay, she was just saying. So yeah, you're not. Where do you live now? Just trying to make small talk. Fuck you, lady.
Hey,
Emanuel.
Watch your mouth, Ben. My God.
Oh,
maybe kids
right.
listening here.
I apologize, everybody.
All right, so that was his speech there. Dude's running for president, right?
Oh yeah, said it all along.
Well,
He's running for president.
We're just
pretty obvious.
We're kind of guessing. He won't say it. Finally, this week, and God bless her, NBC5's Marianne Ahern addressed the elephant in the room and hit him with the question that everyone has been dying to ask. Dude, are you running for president or what?
Marianne, all right, so Monday it will be 1 year till the primary. Your name's going to be on that ballot because you're also heading, I see, one more time to New Hampshire. There's also talk of Rahm. Could we have 2 Illinois politicians running for president next week?
There's a lot mixed up in that question. I'm not sure. I think you're asking me if I'm running for re-election, and I have not made a decision or an announcement about that. As you know, I promise you will be among the very first to know. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to leave you out or you out. And I'll just say, look, whatever it is that I'm doing a year from now, or whatever announcements get made over the next bunch of months, I will be in this fight. I will be in this fight. I have always been, as you know, an active, participant in issues that matter to me. And the Trump presidency is attacking virtually everything that I believe in. So whether I'm in office or I'm not in office, what office I am serving in, I will always be in this fight.
Yeah, he's running. Okay, he's running.
Yeah.
And he was pretty smooth on his feet there, D. Ducking and dodging, a little smile, makes everybody feels good. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. I'll give you that announcement. When I announce, you'll be one of the first. He's running, ladies and gentlemen. President Pritzker. Yes, President. And I'll repeat what I always say when I say this. America loves rich people. So he's got that working for him, D. America loves rich people. I learned that the hard way when I was against Pritzker. Remember, D? I was against it. So were you, Bob Diber fan.
All right, so what will happen next week? Well, I got a feeling Pritzker's not done with this whole ripping Donald Trump thing. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to talk more about it. President Pritzker. All right, now let's move into the city of Chicago. Let's talk Furgate. The following comes from Fox 32 and not Paris Schutz. I think he had the week off, Ben. I don't know. This comes from Casey.
He's working hard, man. Give him some time off.
I mean, last week, if in case you missed it, we did brand him the meanest Illinois political bulldog in the yard. And it's true. See him downtown, elbowing other reporters. Get out of my way. I want the scoop. He's ruthless. But the following comes from Casey Cronus and Alex Ortiz. The headline reads, Chicago City Council votes down on new fur sales. The Chicago City Council voted against a ban on the sale of fur in the city during a meeting on Wednesday. A slim majority of 26 aldermen voted against the ban, with 19 voting for it. Alderman Raymond Lopez, Ben of what ward?
15th.
Still got it. And animal rights activists argued the purposed ban was necessary to help prevent cruelty toward animals. Skeptics argued such a ban would hurt local furrier businesses, especially in black neighborhoods. Lopez says the proposed ban would have included a 1-year grace period for furriers to sell off their existing inventory of furs and transition to alternative products. It also would have exempted pre-owned fur products and products used for cultural and religious purposes. All right, several speakers argued for it, but we have ones that argued against it. It's Alderman Stephanie Coleman and one Alderman Jason Irving.
For Black women, furs are about embracing elegance in the world that has not been kind to us.
Keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. This city was founded by a fur trader.
Raymond Lopez did not keep that in mind, all right? Let's hear from RayLo and what he had to say about Furgate.
At the heart of this argument is our ability to talk about compassion and empathy for things that are lower on life's rung. We've lost our sense of compassion and empathy for other living things.
There's RayLo there. And finally, you know it's not good when this guy's looking like the smartest in the room. It's Alderman Matt O'Shea.
What's next? Are we going to ban leather? Are we going to ban beef? Are we going to close McDonald's across our city?
He has a point.
Oh, man, there's so much to unpack here. What a strange coalition developed on both sides of this issue, Furgate. First of all, let me just start with the sponsor of the bill, our old friend Raymond Lopez, widely known as RayLo, 15th Ward Alderman, used to come on the show. And he's probably the maggiest. Well, he's one of the 3 or 4 maggiest aldermen in the city council. So I have a hard time really believing him when he's all of a sudden championing the notion of compassion and empathy. I've not seen compassion and empathy on the part of MAGA for human beings. So they treat immigrants who come to this country from Venezuela like they're vermin, and yet we're supposed to have compassion for animals like mink that people wear as furs. I don't understand it. Why do you have disdain for Venezuelan immigrants and love mink? I do not get it. I do not understand why this differentiation. And Joanna Klonsky has pointed out to me many times that I should get over the fact that there's a double standard and hypocrisy with MAGA. But sorry, Joanna, when it's so blatant and so obvious, it's hard for me to do so. So the notion of a MAGA guy talking about compassion and empathy for animals but not humans is a little hard to take. And in terms of Matt O'Shea, I didn't see that coming. Matt O'Shea is the alderman, as Dennis knows, of the 19th ward.
Yep.
I was on the far southwest side of the city of Chicago. It's a ward has a good number of city firefighters and police who live there. So it's also a pretty Maggie ward. I'm not quite sure what the breakdown. I can't remember what the breakdown was for Trump in the 2024 election, but it went pretty. He's one of his. There's some precincts there that Trump won with over 60% of the vote, and here he was. He was not with RayLo on this issue. He broke from RayLo on this issue, and suddenly, I guess he was like standing up for businesses against overt government regulation. I'm not so certain what got him so fired up, D. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was so passionate about this issue. I'm like, Matt, what are you? Do you have this? Do you have a brother in the fur trade or something? What do you care so much? And then Jason Irvin, as Dennis knows, alderman of the 28th ward on the west side of Chicago, suddenly talking about connecting Chicago this particular issue to DeSable, who was a fur trader. That was an interesting connection. Think a lot of people would have made that connection. It's a very enlightened historical connection. And Stephanie Coleman turning it into championing the rights of Black women to wear fur. Interesting maneuver on her part. You know what it reminded me of, as I've always enjoyed city council debates, the artistry of our aldermen to kind of like make it seem that whatever they were saying was based on some deeply felt principle that they were championing in the face of overwhelming odds. They're actually pretty good at doing this, and it's pretty entertaining. I've always loved it. I used to spend a lot more time paying attention to it because what's going on in Washington, I think, is far more critical to where our country is going right now. But just listening to those clips and reading the coverage of Fergate just brought back memories. I remember Fall Gras debate, which happened. This is before you moved to Chicago, when there was a move to ban that. I remember when the debate over smoking in restaurants. Oh my God, Dee, that was hilarious. The city of Chicago was slow to ban smoking in restaurants because Mayor Daley thought it would be bad for business, and Mike Ditka was against it. Former Bear coach, who's an icon to so many MAGA types in the city of Chicago, was against it. So there was this great debate in the city council over cigarette smoking, and people were saying, we're going to destroy businesses. Restaurants will go out of business if we don't allow cigarette smoking in restaurants. Of course, none of that happened. But it was it was a very entertaining forum to listen to politicians just going on and saying nonsensical things as though they were really important. Very interesting. Let me see if you can pass this trivia question. You ready for this, D? Uh-oh, here we go. Here you go. So let's see.
What?
Okay, it's really 50-50 chance, so you have a very good chance.
Okay.
So how did my dear friend Jeanette Taylor, Alderwoman of the 20th Ward, vote? Did she vote with RayLo, or did she vote with Matt O'Shea on Fergate?
It's a good question. I would say Jeanette Taylor voted with Matt O'Shea.
You are correct.
All right.
She voted no. She voted no on this question.
That's correct.
All right. Then wait a minute, we're not done. How do you feel our good friend Lenny Mana Hoppenworth voted? Lenny, a dear friend of our show, was involved in Indivisible, was taking a stand against Trump long before it was fashionable, and now she's an alderwoman from the 48th Ward. Did she vote with RayLo, or did she vote with Matt O'Shea?
She voted with RayLo.
You have the answers in front. No. Actually, you're wrong on that one.
Really?
She voted no.
Really?
Wow.
Now, do you think that was just to spite RayLo, or was it to?
Well, I can't speak for Lenny. Lenny, we're going to bring back on the show. But Lenny has always been a spokesperson of sort for small businesses. So maybe she was thinking of businesses who sell fur, but she voted no on the ordinance. Yeah. And finally, I'll give you one last one. Lord. No ducking, no dodging. I could do this for hours, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you're not, but go ahead.
Here we go. Our dear friend, Byron Sixto Lopez from the 25th Ward. What up, Byron? Did he vote with RayLo to ban fur, or did he vote with Matt O'Shea to let his fur flag fly?
Oh, I think now this was a spite vote. He went against RayLo.
Well, you are wrong. He didn't vote at all.
Oh, well, trick question.
Yeah, it was a trick.
He was smoking a doobie in the bathroom.
I guess Byron didn't want to take a stand on that one. Byron, you're taking a stand on some of those contentious issues of our day. You know what I'm saying? Now, ceasefire in the Middle East, but Fergate. Oh, my phone's ringing. Gotta go. I can't be on the floor. Anyway, he was not there for the vote.
Now, Ben, I've been back doing What a Week for about a month now. It's been great. Thanks for having me back. Really appreciate it. But just in covering these stories with the aldermen, alderwomen, is it just me, or does they lost the map to what's going on? We're talking about fur. We're talking about puppet shows. We're talking about all this stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with anything as far as me trying to live in this city, right? Have they lost the map here?
Okay. So what Furgate does not in any way, you're absolutely correct, does not in any way correlate to something like, I don't know, potholes on Western Avenue.
Yeah.
To use a favorite example. Potholes. This is an issue that Dr. D has discovered since he moved to the south side of Chicago.
Lord. They're Western right there before you get to 33rd.
Oh my God.
Holy
Although
cow.
I would argue you
bridge.
just didn't notice them on the north side. I once had a spirited debate. It wasn't that spirited, but I was spirited with a resident on the north side who was supportive. Shout out Chris, who was supportive of Scotty Waguespack. This is back in the days when Scotty was a crusading independent reformer with the guts to battle real powerful mayors like Daley and Rahm, not like a baby, reformer challenger like RayLo and Anthony Beal going up against a weak mayor. Come on, guys. If you'd stood up against Rahm, I'd have a little belief in your guts, your political courage. Anyway, Scotty went up against Daley and Rahm. And my friend said to me, he goes, you know what? I support Scotty for doing that, even though I'm going to pay the price because they won't fill the potholes in our ward. And I was like, Chris, have you ridden a bike in the city of Chicago? It's not like they're that sophisticated in their operation here. Every street is filled with potholes. It doesn't matter who the alderman is. It's not like, oh, if you're loyal to Mayor Daley, your street gets paid. You can't tell, like when Damon Avenue, which runs through 5 different wards, you can't tell which ward you're in by the pothole. It's just an inability to fill potholes. One of my favorite topics. So D, when you say there's no connection between real practical issues that face people in the city of Chicago every day, like a pothole and Furgate, you're absolutely correct. Okay. But then again, there was no real connection between life in the city of Chicago and I don't know, banning cigarettes in restaurants or any other issues that have consumed so much of our time. And they did it anyway. You know why? Because it's a heck of a lot easier to debate about something that doesn't affect people in the city of Chicago than it is to debate about something that does affect people in the Chicago. Remember the debate over Adam Toledo getting shot? But remember that one? We talked about that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very contentious, wrenching debate. It's one thing to talk about that, and it's another thing to talk about should we outlaw it? So I think there's a reason why they run to issues like that.
And also, let's talk about this too before we wrap it up here. RayLo, dude, I don't think I'm buying this whole innocent puppy lover.
But I want an answer. It's not something you ignore. I think you're 100% full of shit is what I think. If you think we want offensive, fuck you then.
Yeah.
Now, do you think this is a potential play? I mean, he ran for mayor last time. Is this, is he trying to be the puppy guy running for mayor?
Will he run? That's a great question. I don't believe he'll run for mayor. And I certainly don't believe if he were to run for mayor, he would win. I will give him credit on this front. RayLo has always been a dog guy. He loves dogs. I've had conversations with him in the past. I love dogs too, for that matter. And so he's moving on from dogs to pets in general. So I'm just going to give him, RayLo, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to do something for you that your friends at MAGA World and Fox would never do for a liberal. I'm going to give you the benefit of doubt. And I believe you sincerely believe in this issue, and that's why you're advancing it. It's not to advance your political career. How about that, D?
Whoa,
all
right.
Okay.
Was that an olive branch extended and maybe a possible interview on the Ben Joravsky show?
I don't know. RayLo's too busy on Fox. I got no time for his old lefty friends anymore. So, but I do believe he sincerely is an advocate on behalf of animal rights. So, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Well, there you go, guys. That is your Oh, What a Week. Remember, reach out to us. BennyJShow@gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J show @gmail.com. Search Benny J Show on all social media platforms. All right. Find videos, shorts. Go to YouTube. Check out the videos. Check out the shows, shorts, and so much more. Benny J Show @gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J Show on all social media platforms.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Dr. D, outstanding job as always. And you know what I want to say? Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. Peace and love, everybody.
The enemy is you.